Good evening, this is the Counterculture Show, January 18th, 2019. Leaving off from last night, I will discuss a call to action. It is urgent, not only on the provincial side, but also on the federal side. We've got multiple by-elections happening across this country that will have serious ramifications heading into 2019. In the Nanaimo by-election, we have Tony Harris running as a BC Liberal against Sheila Malcolmson running as a BC NDP candidate. On the federal end of things in BC, we have Jagmeet Singh running for the NDP, federal NDP, and we have Jay Shin running for the Conservative Party. At the core of it, here's what you need to know. Tony Harris is a community businessman who is experienced in running an auto dealership in Nanaimo, and Jay Shin of the Conservative Party is an experienced business lawyer in Burnaby. Both of these candidates know that deficit spending and high taxation are not ways to attract investment and economic growth into their respective regions. On the far left-hand side, you have Jagmeet Singh running, and his claim to fame essentially is being a racial minority and a trophy victim. Seriously, the only true reason, and this is politically incorrect to say, but the only true reason why Jagmeet Singh rose to prominence and was a person of note at all in the federal NDP leadership race was because he was a victim of racism, and it was caught on video, which is fine and dandy. I don't fault him for being a victim. What I fault him for doing is in not exhibiting the qualities of a good federal leader. He's not good at rallying his troops. Heck, it is now that he decides to run for a seat in the House of Commons. He could have done it a year and a half ago, but he chose not to. He sat on his laurels. I don't fault the man for being accused of being an Islamic terrorist. He can't help that. And for what it's worth, he dealt with it in a professional way, but he never evolved. He never delivered beyond that. Now, of course, Justin Trudeau is responsible for delaying the Burnaby South by-election. We cannot deny that. What we can, however, say is that Jagmeet Singh is from Ontario. Jagmeet Singh has lived in Ontario for a great portion of his life. Yet he is a parachute candidate into British Columbia, into Burnaby South. While he may be popular because of his warm persona and ability to get out the ethnic vote where it is needed for him, at the end of the day, voters do not deserve a lame duck. And with Jagmeet Singh, if he wins, the NDP is going to be in peril. Or it appears to be that way. In many ways, Justin Trudeau's Liberals are already pretty far left. Not particularly in the area of economics, but more in the size and scope of the government and of redistributionism and of nation building. They truly believe that a just society, as described by Pierre Trudeau, is a good vision to aim for. One that involves more government intervention in the lives of its citizens and in the running of the Canadian economy. Folks, Justin Trudeau is a socialist, or at least he has acted like one. Before the self-righteous so-called center-left establishment types try to call me out for saying, oh, Justin Trudeau's not a socialist just because he decides to pass a carbon tax. The carbon tax is widely agreed around the world as being a very good policy. What about the Trans Mountain Pipeline? What about Justin Trudeau buying out the Trans Mountain Pipeline, despite the fact that people on the right did not want this to be a government project, and people on the left did not want this pipeline to be built at all? Isn't it a wonder that in Justin Trudeau's attempt to appeal to both the left and the right, he manages to go full far leftist? He manages to become a pure-blood red socialist. See, this is why political centrism is a bit of a misnomer. Can someone be considered a political centrist? You'll find on Wikipedia, if you look it up, Justin Trudeau's Liberal Party is considered center to center left. Are they center/center left because they adopt the policy extremes from both sides? Or they take the so-called best policies from both sides and implement it into their platform? Or are they centrist because they are in the middle of every issue? Whichever dichotomy there is in the country, on any political position, they take the middle position. Is this really the Trudeau brand of centrist leftism? Is it really? I'm calling that out as a fake classification. It is a nonsensical classification designed to benefit only the Liberals who are moving the Overton window ever so leftward. Seeing as how the BC NDP are leading in Nanaimo and how the federal NDP are leading in Burnaby South, this is worrying for Conservatives. Jagmeet Singh's only recourse, or the future federal NDP leader's only recourse, is to go further left than Justin Trudeau. Where have they left to go now? Tom Mulcair was lambasted and kicked out of his party after serving one term as their leader, election cycle, as their leader, for being too moderate, for being too centrist. The NDP is going to go leftward, folks. Leftward of Justin Trudeau. There can be no complacency in Burnaby South or Nanaimo. It doesn't even matter what the poll numbers are. In Nanaimo, it is very tight right now between Tony Harris and Sheila Malcolmson. Listen, I'm not claiming that Tony Harris is the textbook conservative candidate. I am saying that he is the only alternative to BC's radical shift far leftward. The NDP, at its core, does not believe in resource development. It truly does not. It listens to special interests, oftentimes foreign-funded. Kennedy Stewart, now mayor of the city of Vancouver, was a former NDP MP. On March 23rd of 2018, Kennedy Stewart, along with Elizabeth May and several others, were arrested during a protest against the Kinder Morgan pipeline. Kennedy Stewart was charged with criminal contempt of court. Kennedy Stewart was in fact the former NDP MP for Burnaby South. And now he is the mayor of the most populous city in the Lower Mainland, Vancouver. He is an anti-oil and gas industry activist. By all accounts, he is dogmatic. This is who we have pulling the strings on the municipal level now. We must push back against this anti-industry wave that is breaking the economic growth trend that British Columbia has seen over the past few years. Before the BC NDP were, some might argue, illegitimately catapulted to victory in a Green DP coalition set up by the Lieutenant Governor at the time, in 2017. With all of this in mind, Jagmeet Singh and Sheila Malcolmson cannot be allowed to win. The only way to do this is to fight against the orange/red tide of a centrally planned energy industry with no regard for economic growth is to vote Jay Shin in Burnaby South and Tony Harris for Nanaimo. We cannot let these orange bastards sabotage British Columbia's economy any more than they already have. It is well known in Canadian politics that by-election turnouts tend to be much lower. Let's reverse that. Conservatives and center-right folks, even some centrists who see the province and its finances in a downward spiral toward never-ending debt, must vote Conservative this time around. They must vote BC Liberal this time around. The left are not running their moderates. They're running extremists. They're running anti-worker, anti-job, anti-prosperity, and frankly, anti-family, because when you really think about it, a person's income is tied to how well they do, and how well a person does is tied to how well a community does. People are parts of families. People are not isolated units. And as a community, we have to send a message to the far-left political establishment in BC that enough is enough. We say yes to ride-sharing. We say yes to jobs. We say yes to a debt-free BC on both the provincial and federal fronts. Whatever we can do to contribute to our country, we will do. And we will not be hindered by the likes of the NDP.